What did he gain from using those words, and what price might be paid by using those words, do you think?
I think that, as I understand it from various news reports, Admiral McMaster, General McMaster, um, highly recommended to the president not to use those terms. But I think the term radical Islamic terrorism very much plays, if you will, to the president's base. Those are terms that he's very comfortable with. And even though McMaster, who's clearly known and respected to be a speaker of truth to power, warmly recommended the president not, obviously President Trump decided otherwise. I don't think it causes him any damage. I think that given the tone and tenor of the speech, which was different from President Trump's previous speeches, both as president and as candidate Trump, the fact that he stuck to that particular phrase, I don't think causes him any political capital. And perhaps you could make a counter argument that if he had decided not to use the phrase, he perhaps would have been called out for not using the phrase. And he would have to explain why he totally ditched something that has been very much a core part of how he presented himself as candidate and clearly also as president.
Is there concern in Israel and Jordan, in the Middle East, and other countries, I would imagine, about President Trump's proposal to reduce by, I don't know, what's the figure, some 30% aid to foreign nations as part of his looking to cut back on the budget? Is there discussion about that? Are you hearing anything about that?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, which is a different question than the phrase question. I think there's concern, I think would be the best word, or uncertainty about what a Trump administration means in terms of American foreign policy, whether it's with respect to the Middle East narrowly defined, or the Middle East broadly defined, or foreign policy worldwide. And I think until the president and his team, whatever that phrase means, are able to not only articulate a foreign policy but also to implement a foreign policy, I think that one probably hears more questions than answers. And I think the fact that there does not seem to be extraordinary interaction between the president and the State Department. It seems to be a very tight-knit, insular circle of advisors around the president. Maybe it's only the first 40 days of his administration. But I would think that the discussion about budgetary cutbacks, about denying or minimizing the budget of the State Department, the firing of the forced firing or the voluntarily leaving of State Department senior officials, I think from an international perspective, concern is probably a good word, and clearly uncertainty as to exactly where this administration is going. Is this going to be a xenophobic American administration? Is this going to be truly an American firster, whereby emphasis on the world and understanding of the world's needs?
Professor, I'm not going to give you enough time to answer this last question, but you talk about team. What do you make of the president giving so much focus or power, if you will, to Jared Kushner when it comes to the Middle East and the Peace in the Middle East initiative?
Right. So I speak as someone who I think has been involved for years in formal and informal channels in negotiation, trying to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I've never met Mr. Kushner. I have no idea what his capabilities and skill sets are. But to cut the State Department out, I know that when Prime Minister Netanyahu was in D.C. 2-3 weeks ago, no State Department official participated in the conversations. That raises really profound questions about, again, to your earlier question, how does this administration plan on implementing any kind of a policy if you cut out the State Department, you cut out those experts, people who have been involved in this for years, again, with no disrespect intended to Mr. Kushner. It's so remarkably and extraordinarily complex. I don't think that one person can do it. President Clinton tried, President Obama, Secretary of State Kerry. There's been a long line of distinguished people who have tried. Jared Kushner by himself is not going to be able to make this happen. It's going to require significant teams.
We have hope, of course, but we'll follow it. And we thank you for your time as always, Professor. Talk to you again soon.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Professor Amos Guiora with us on the KSL Newsline.